Hello, how y'all doing today? It's another crazy podcast from Eric, and it's about this one. This one is about the 1970s tricks of the trade. Welcome to the craziness that lives inside my head.
It's an all-nighter, baby. Staying all night up, no sleep. It's about to get crazy. 24-hour party. It's an all-nighter, baby.
It's very interesting. Um, I keep saying at my age, I will be 72 soon, and at my age, I'm not really keeping up what's going on in the gay community. I mean, I get my news for what's going on from the news, depends on what news you listen to. And to me, things are a little crazy. When I was coming up, um, you had ABC, NBC, and CBS. Mainly, you get your news from then. You had I'm from New York, Daily News, the News in the Mirror, and the New York Times. But now, in this day and age, there's so many ways to get information about what's going on. So many ways. And I was just thinking about that, and I said, I'm not keeping up what these young people are doing today. I only go by what I hear, maybe on Facebook, maybe on Twitter, but basically, I just go by what I see on the news and Google and all that. But I did thought about 1970. You got to know what you're doing in 1970s. We didn't have Google, we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have all these other things. Everything was by, how did I say, by word of mouth. And one of the things that I learned, I had a friend named Richie. I mention him all the time because if it wasn't for Richie, I wouldn't know how to navigate in the gay community on Christopher Street and up in Harlem and all those gay areas without Richie, because Richie was 10 years older than me. So he knew what was going on. I got my gay news, my gay, how you say, navigation in the community from him. And one of the things he told me when I was hanging out in the sex bars in the 1970s was the tricks of the trade. And one thing he told me, the tricks of the trade, is when you go to a gay bar, a sex bar, I'm going to say sex bar. I mean, there was a time in the 70s when almost every gay bar had a back room. You heard about the back room when it's dark and guys go in there, have sex with whoever they have sex with and come on out. Because almost every bar had that. Because when you have a back room, that, how you say, raise your profits. Oh, let's go to Witchcomb. We don't have to go all the way down to the Christopher Street to the Strap. Witchcomb got a back room right here. You might meet somebody, you go over there, have a couple of drinks, and you give him a wink, and he give a wink, and you go in the back. So, rule number one, Richie told me, rule number one, don't pay attention to their crotch. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you see some of these guys come in the bars, they got this big crotch, make it look like they got a big cock. And he said, most guys put socks down here to make it look like they got a big dick. They entice you to go in the back room, it's pitch black, and then you give them a blowjob. When you take it out, it ain't that big at all. I said, okay. That was rule number one. Rule number two, never, ever, ever carry your wallet in your back pocket anywhere in any of the gay bars, especially not in the back room. And I got burnt because I didn't listen to him one time. I knew this when I got burnt. You take somebody in the back room, it's pitch black, they're giving you a blowjob, and at the same time, you feel somebody feeling your ass. They're supposed to be grabbing your, how do you grab your ass and then and while they go down on you? Well, what they're doing is, they're doing that to distract you so they can steal your wallet. They're just doing that to see if you have a wallet in your back pocket and you steal your wallet. You never take your wallet into the back room in your back pocket. In fact, Richard used to tell me, when you go to those sex bars, you never take any money with you just enough to buy a couple of beers, and that's it. Because they have so many ways, he said, that they steal your money. Sometimes you put it in your pocket, a couple of dollars in your pocket, that's gone. They pickpocket you. And then there was one time, I don't know if I told the story, how I picked this guy up, and long story short, yada yada yada, he was going to beat me up. I took him to his place, or a friend place, and then I didn't have any money. He asked me for money, I didn't have any, and when I left out in the hallway, he tried to get me to take my shoes off, because sometimes when you go out, you put your money in your shoe. So that, because you can't put it in your back pocket. You can't take a wallet. You can't put a couple of dollars in your pocket because they pickpocket you. So you put it in your shoe. And if you need it, you go to the bathroom and you take it out of your shoe and you go and get a beer or something. This guy must have thought I did that. Actually, I didn't have any money. Lucky for me. Well, lucky for me. Anyway, so that was rule number 2, or was that rule number 3? And then this other rule he told me about was very interesting. He said, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Get the dick first before you pay. You pick up somebody, they say they want the money. No, you get the penis first, and then you pay. Because if they ain't giving you no penis first of all, they probably can't get it up, he said. And second of all, they just want the money for drugs and they're going to go home. The big thing about the rules of this tricks of the trade was basically, it's like picking up somebody who's down on their luck, or an addict, or an alcoholic. All they want is the money. They don't want the sex. You want the sex. And sometimes they would try to entice you with the sex. I had a guy who did that to me. He said, meet me around the corner, whatever. And I met him around the corner, and he said to me, you can blow me for $5. And then I heard that Richie thing came in my head. $5 was kind of cheap, by the way. It may be the 70s, but $5 was the cheapest I've ever heard for a guy letting you give him a blowjob. But Richie said, you blow him first, and then you give him the $5. I mean, I did it. I thought maybe he might, beat me up. $5. But then I gave him the $5. He went on his way. That was very cheap. Usually it depends on how desperate these guys are. Back then, guys were very desperate for money, for drugs. They did almost anything for, just to get that drug, whatever drug they was on. Usually it was heroin. I did date a guy who was a heroin addict. Those guys are not fun to hang around with anyway. And anyway, that's what I wanted to tell you about, the tricks of the trade. Now, are they still the same tricks of the trade? Are they still doing this? I don't know. I'm thinking this is 2023. Maybe the gay community got more liberated, where they don't have to go and get money to do that. I think. I haven't been around in a long time. When you get my age, you get up in the morning after you go to the gym or do what you have to do. It's time to take a nap. And after you take your nap, you do some more housework. It's time to have dinner and go to bed. It's not like when I was 20 years old, hanging out in the bars till 4 a.m. in the morning, and then if you can't find sex at 4 a.m. in the morning, you go to Central Park. There's an area in Central Park, you hang out there until the sun comes out to see if you can find a piece of trade. Thank you for listening to the craziness that lives inside my head.